disrupted.
Welcome to the Author Spotlight. On this episode, we're talking to Tamu Thomas and her book, Women That Work Too Much. Thank you for being on our show. So,
Thank you for
why don't
having
you
me.
let us know why we should read your book?
Let me just exhale. Whew. Okay, so the book is called Women Who Work Too Much, and it is aimed at women. It's also for everybody. So everybody needs to read my book because the personal development industry and non-fiction books that are about growth and all of that kind of stuff tend to position things in a way that infers we are in the position we're in. We need this help, this development, because of something we've done wrong. And what I'm here to say is that it's not your fault. So that's the first line of the first chapter of my book. Women end up in environments where they are over functioning just to survive. And it's not because we've chosen to be that way. It's because the environments in which we live create a narrative that, on the one hand, tells women you can have it all, but on the other hand, has created none of the infrastructure to support you in having it all. Instead, we were sold the myth of work-life balance, which means women are trying to spread themselves thin everywhere in their lives. So if you are a woman who is also a mother, you're trying to be the best mother. You probably have a career, so you're trying to be the best employee. You're on the growth track. You want to be a senior leader within your organization. You went to university or you did some kind of qualification to be able to get that role and you don't want to waste it. Then you may or may not have a partner and you want to show up as a conscious partner. You want to make the effort for your relationship because you know it takes work. And the women I'm really speaking to in this book are older millennials and Gen X. So we are in our 40s, going into our 50s. So we may also have aging parents that require our support. Then we've got friends we want to maintain relationships with. And then some of us use social media and we want to keep our social media up to date. So we are exhausted. And rather than recognize that we're exhausted, we are Googling productivity hacks. We're trying to manage our time better. We want to exercise at 5:30 in the morning so that we have more energy, not realizing that you're just doing too much in the first place. And that too much is invariably based on an arbitrary success standard that is not even your own. In Women Who Work Too Much, I am helping you understand why you behave the way you do. I am helping you understand the impact it has, not just on your relationships, but on your relationship with yourself and your relationship with your nervous system. And it is a clarion call for change. I want people, especially women who read this book, to recognize their needs as allies, their needs as a bid for connection, and burnout as a love letter from your nervous system saying, Sister, you can't carry on like this. We are going to make sure that you hard stop so you can reassess your life and create a standard of success. Redefine success so that success and satisfaction are like this together. So you can work out what's important and you can start to say to yourself, if success means I am left with the dregs of myself and I am unable to acknowledge all the wonderful things I've done, I don't want it. One of my mottos is our work can be part of our self-care. Lots of people are like, get work away from my self-care. But work is one of the primary ways we meet our needs. And for the vast majority of us, work is the longest, most enduring relationship we will ever have. And I say we might as well make it a great relationship.
Wow, I love it. So, for listeners, I saw an Instagram post of you talking about your book and it blew my mind. I instantly reached out to you because I just think that so many of us we're just trapped in this. How do you get out of that? Like I'm I'm pretty good with balance, but I do the podcast. That's what I do. But at the same time, my children have to leave for school very early, and I'm doing yoga at 5 in the morning. So as soon as you said that, I'm like, well, maybe I am doing too much too, because at 5 in the morning before everyone gets up, so I can get my yoga in and my meditation, I'm
Yeah.
getting up at 5:15. And I feel like there's a lot of our listeners that are doing exactly the same thing. And the fact that one of the things on that clip that really drew me in is that you were saying how women are waning and waxing. So it's about women are getting signals from their bodies and our
Hmm.
nervous system that's different
Hmm.
from like the framework that we're living in, our society, patriarchy, whatever you want to call it. It's based on a male's maybe nervous system.
Biology. Yeah.
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 And I thought
And
that was just
so,
so interesting.
yeah. So just today, actually, I was in the gym and I'm, I speak openly about stuff. I'm in my luteal phase and I felt really, really tired. And I was going to push through and continue my strength training. And I said, no, that's not actually what your body's asking for. Your body wants to move. So I stopped the session and I started walking on the treadmill instead. Me of old would have totally dismissed that because the way our society is structured, we are encouraged to judge ourselves based on who we are during our ovulation phase, where for people who menstruate, that is when we have more energy, we're outward facing, we're much more willing to be sociable and all of those sorts of things. And that is when we're nice. That is when even we look more attractive because estrogen is doing her thing. And so everybody is happy when we're that version of ourselves. When it's like, no, don't worry, I can do it. Oh, I've got the energy, I can extend myself. So that then becomes the norm. So we judge ourselves by that version of ourselves when that version of ourselves is only available approximately 1 week a month,
Right.
12
Yeah.
weeks in a 12-month year. And I want us to recognize that we don't have to get into patriarchy, this, that, or the other. The systems in which we live are based on human beings who do not have a monthly cycle, which is why I talk
Yeah.
about we wax and wane like the moon. We are expected to behave like we're the moon at full moon time all throughout the month, and that's just not natural. One of the things I talk about in my book is that in the Industrial Revolution, we created machines to make our lives easier, and then we started judging our humanity against the standard of machines. So then we want to be mechanical rather than cyclical. And as a woman, every human being has the circadian rhythm, which is like our own internal body clock that takes us through morning to night. Then every human being has an autonomic nervous system, and we travel up and down the autonomic nervous system all throughout the day. To simplify it, the bottom of the autonomic nervous system is when we're like really tired, crashed out, just can't do anything. Then we've got the middle, which is the sympathetic part of the nervous system, which is about in a survival state, it's about fight or flight. But in a healthy state, it gets us up and going. It's where our motivation and ambition comes from. Then at the top of the ladder, we have got the ventral state, which is where we are more joyful. We're very good at connecting with other people. And it's not that we feel so safe and protected from everything. We feel safe and grounded within ourselves to take risks we wouldn't ordinarily take. And that risk may be I'm very good at connecting, but you say I'm at a networking event, I shrink. I just don't like it. But if I'm in a very ventral state, I'm much more likely to take the risk of initiating a conversation with somebody. So we've got the
Right.
autonomic ladder that we're traveling up and down all day long. And then, as a person that menstruates, we have our different phases of the menstrual cycle. So our bodies, whether we are conscious of it or not, are constantly working to support our humanity. So that
Yes.
alone is hard work. And that menstrual cycle has a massive impact on our autonomic nervous system, and it has a massive impact on our circadian rhythm. So it's not fair to us to judge ourselves based on standards that have been created for people whose testosterone pretty much stays the same throughout the month and they don't have the ebbs and flows that we experience. And when we recognize our cyclical nature, rather than judging ourselves by our off days, we can zoom out and see our productivity, our relational skills, and all of those things. We can see that through the arc of a month. And rather than writing ourselves off and telling ourselves we're terrible human beings because we're not particularly productive on 3 days of this week, we can zoom out and see, okay, 3 days of this month, I haven't been very productive, but these are my other patterns. And overall, I am a productive person. So we're able to treat ourselves with a lot more compassion. And the way us human beings are designed, when our needs are met and when we're treating ourselves with compassion, because connection is a biological need and we're the most relational species on this planet. When our needs are met, when we're showing ourselves compassion, it expands our capacity to extend that to other people. And when we extend that to other people, we're much more likely to extend it to our planet as well.
Amazing. I
Mm,
love that. I really, it just makes so much sense. And I just also, I think it helps us as women like reframe because that's what happens. Then you think, I'm not worthy, and then you beat yourself
exactly.
up when you don't have the energy. But then you don't look at, well, actually, 2 weeks ago, I was ultimately productive and did way
Yeah.
more than, yeah, I think that's a
Hmm.
great reframe to
Yeah.
look at your month rather than look at your week because that's what we
Yeah.
do. We look at our week.
Yeah.
Oh, was I productive enough this week?
Hmm.
That's
And in my
amazing. I
book,
love that.
I break down the menstrual cycle, circadian rhythm, autonomic ladder. There's one chapter called Be Your Nervous System's Best Friend, which is going to give you information about your autonomic nervous system and also practical tools so that you can begin to befriend your nervous system at the end of each chapter because my book is about toxic productivity. So it's women who work too much, break free from toxic productivity and find your joy. Because ultimately, my work is about women living more joyful lives. So at the end of each chapter, there's a joy practice, which is informed by somatic science. And throughout the chapters, there are different exercises to help you get to know your body, to get to know yourself intimately so that you can start to make powerful choices. We talk about women being empowered, and I know it might seem like semantics, but you are powerful. I want women to recognize that they are powerful and they can make powerful choices in relation to how they live. And that powerful choice may be I was working with a woman who was almost ruining herself to create a business that generated £10,000 a month. And when we got into the nitty-gritty of it, she didn't actually want a business that did that. Her husband made enough money for them to live a good life. She wanted to earn a bit of money so that when she picked up her children from school, if there were friends coming over for play dates and the ice cream van was outside school, she would be able to buy them all ice creams because ice creams in the UK in an ice cream van are damn expensive. And when they go on holidays, she wanted to have spending money and not have to ask her husband for money. That's what she
Right.
wanted. She said she would be really content working in the bakery in her little village because she would be able to do a 10 till 2 shift, which meant she'd be able to take her children to school and collect them from school. I said, well, why are you doing all of this stuff? I said, you know how many women would jack in their business and do that if they had the supportive environment for that? So she stopped doing the business. She got herself, as she called it, a little part-time job that gave her a whole load of freedom to enjoy her life. That's a powerful choice. That is just as powerful as a woman who decides to leave her C-suite role to get VC funding to start her own business. A powerful choice is whatever enables you to live life feeling vibrant and energetic.
Yes, no, I completely agree. That's another reframe. I think that worthy because I made a lot of money. That's not what makes you worthy. Like
No.
your success, everybody's success looks different. Maybe that's someone's success. Maybe making
Yeah.
tons of money is their success, but maybe someone
Yeah.
else's success is working a part-time job.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
I love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, well, actually, you know what? I'm going to ask one more question and then
Okay.
we'll have to wrap it because I can't wait to read your book. So, one other thing, I read a quote that said the positive mindset is the nectar for capitalism. So, I
Yeah.
think a lot of us that are like trying to do it all, but also trying to just stay positive, like, I think there's a lot of I mean, I believe in being optimistic, but I think there's like a toxic positivity that's
Absolutely.
underlines like to just sweep everything under the rug
Yeah.
when you're burnt out and overwhelmed. I was
Yeah.
wondering if you could elaborate on that point.
Yeah, absolutely. Because when you are overtly focused on being positive, rather than we conflate blame and taking responsibility. And when we are in this positive mindset, we do not do a very good job of holding people responsible for what they are supposed to provide. So when I think about people who talk about positivity, they will say, when I talk about systemic change and social change, they will say, oh, you're just blaming the system. No, I'm not blaming the system. What I am saying is, you, government of our country, have promised to deliver these things and you haven't delivered these things. So there's no point in me trying to improve myself, trying to have this positive mindset, trying to do all of these things. When I go into the world, I'm met by things that compromise me. So if I think about my experience as a Black African woman, so I've got the dark-skinned Black African woman, I can do everything I can do. I can be qualified. I can speak well. I can smile. I can change my demeanor so that it's open. And I will still go into spaces where people will judge me based on racial stereotypes. That is because of what is upheld within the system. So, what I'm saying is, absolutely be optimistic. I'm a very optimistic person. And that's partly what led me to burnout. I am a very positive, optimistic, hopeful person. And I also believe that we have a responsibility to each other to treat each other well. So when we're so focused on being positive, what happens is people don't develop the capacity to have challenging conversations. People assume that a rupture will lead to the dissolution of a relationship. When you have got a positive mindset, you are an optimistic person, and you are rooted in hope and care, you can have a challenging discussion to address a rupture and recognize that the repair process can be a portal to bring you and the other party closer. So rather than ignoring elephants in the room, you call them in. You don't necessarily tame them, you acknowledge them. And it means then I can meet you where you are, Sarah, rather than glossing over things or avoiding you because you're not exactly who I want you to be. I can accept you for who you are and know that there are going to be parts that rub up against me, maybe I don't agree with, but it doesn't mean that we can't still be in community with each other. And for
Yes, no,
capitalism, us being divided is great because we're going to keep attacking each other rather than looking at the overall problem. And we're going to keep trying to find, I say it's like we tried to have Haribo or little sweets instead of having a proper meal. We're going to keep, oh, I've got to be positive. So I've got to buy this expensive gym membership. I've got to buy this personal development program. I've got to buy all of these things. When really and truly, what we need is a community that cares about us and we care for them back.
I agree 100%. And there's healthy conflict, also community, like a gym membership and doing an online program by yourself. You
Exactly.
need, yeah, community is
Absolutely.
so key. And then I'm a recovering, yes, people pleaser, always saying yes to everything.
Hey.
I say maybe now, maybe. So I have time to think, like, do I actually want to
Exactly.
do that?
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
But I think that that's because you're trying to be always positive and happy, and it gets you at a point where you end up getting burnt out, right?
Yeah.
And it's right, it
Yeah.
keeps you in a system because you're just too tired to be like, I can't fight anything else. Like it's trying to be positive. And yeah, I think there really is a
Byron.
toxic positivity that not that many people talk about. They just
Yeah.
keep on trying, like keep
Yeah.
on, and it's
Because
like
they don't want to be seen as negative. And it's not negative, it's actually being truthful.
honest. Yeah, no, that
Mm.
it's completely true. Anyway, I think your book is exceptional. I can't wait to read it.
Thank you.
I think
Thank
there's
you.
just so many of us, like everywhere, that are just,
So
especially
many.
women, just burnt out. I remember I had in Canada, I had a real burnout situation where I had a miscarriage because I was working too much and I didn't take a day off because we had a big trade show. So I was working like 2.5 weeks straight, and someone gave me a Tony Robbins book. They're like, do this. Um, and I realized like one of the things I thought I needed to do for my family to be healthy, I had to make everything from scratch. I had to make everything from scratch. I had to. I worked in the corporate world. I had I had toddlers, two small children, and I was pregnant and I was making everything from scratch and working crazy hours. I'm like, what? What? And ballet and soccer and
I hear
yeah.
you
I
completely,
was like, what am I doing?
completely.
Why?
It's ridiculous.
It's just
Absolutely
ridiculous.
ridiculous.
Why?
Yeah. It'd be fine if that's all you did all day long, but it's unsustainable.
Right. And you're like, oh, trying to be healthy and I'm doing my meditations before I fall asleep. It's just like, and yeah, time with your husband. And you're like, it's time to say goodnight.
Exactly.
Let's
When
do
does it
date
end?
night.
When does
I'm
it
ready for
end?
date night.
I even know
Yeah,
people who are like optimizing their sleep and they're listening to whatever it is through the night. And I'm just like, give your brain a break.
enough. It's
Exactly.
enough. I
Yeah.
know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you for coming on my show. I wish you could stay longer. So, listeners, you can pick up Women Who Work Too Much on the Book Interrupted website. And it's www.bookinterrupted.com/shop, and it'll be under Author Spotlight. You can click there and it'll take you to Amazon and you can pick up Tamu's book. And yeah, thanks so much for being on the show. I
Thank you for
really enjoyed it
having
and I
me.
can't wait to read your book. I think
Awesome.
it's
Thank you for
brilliant.
having me.
Yeah.
If you've enjoyed these video highlights, listen to the full episode on our YouTube channel or wherever you get your podcasts. Remember to like and subscribe and ring that bell to be notified when new episodes are published. Find out more by going to www.bookinterrupted.com.
And we're gonna talk it out on Book
On Book Interrupted.
Interrupted.